What has happened in Pulwama is, for me, a paradigm shift in terms of how both countries are going to approach their relations, because there is a rising intolerance of terrorist incidents, of cross-border terrorism from Pakistan in India. People have lost patience for that kind of thing. And therefore, the action taken by the government in terms of the raid that happened deep inside Pakistan territory completely changes the doctrine of military power between the two countries. So far, traditional thinking has been that conventional warfare will not go beyond a certain threshold, mainly because both are nuclear powers. Now, this suited Pakistan immensely because Pakistan could always take comfort from the fact that nuclear weapons with them will be enough of a deterrence for India not to retaliate when we are faced with incontrovertible evidence about cross-border terrorism. I think with this particular incident in Pulwama, that doctrine has been torn to shreds. So we will have to see what happens now. All I want to say is that there is also international opinion which is very strong now against cross-border terrorism. There is very little faith in what Pakistan says in terms of, they're repeatedly saying we will not allow our soil to be used for terrorism purposes. There are no takers for those kind of arguments anymore because people want proof. So I think both on the diplomatic front, on the conventional doctrine front, there has been a paradigm shift.
This is an old problem that's taken on a new dimension. We've been facing this menace of jihadist extremism for since time immemorial, almost going back to the 1950s and 40s. The first war between the two countries was driven by these tribesmen who had infiltrated into Jammu and Kashmir. Since then, there have been some changes in the nature of this conflict. We are more and more moved towards a kind of what we call sub-conventional warfare. Earlier, it used to be conventional battle between the two militaries, but especially since the 1980s, we are now in this new era where there is this insurgency and secessionism in Kashmir, and fueled by Pakistan-based proxies. So, to be able to manage this crisis, we have not really been able to come up with a full spectrum deterrence, and that's been missing. And I think Prime Minister Modi has taken the boldest moves compared to all his predecessors, and these include the surgical strike options 1 and 2. 2016 we did by land, and 2019 by air. I think it will require persistent effort beyond these one-off attacks and counter-attacks, because the costs of terrorism have to be raised, and that has been a huge challenge. And Pakistan, we have not succeeded in fully isolating them internationally, because they have the Chinese support and to some extent the OIC, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation support. And especially with the Chinese, they've been able to stymie a lot of our efforts to marginalize and isolate them. So the diplomatic challenge remains, and I believe that Prime Minister Modi needs to work on getting the Chinese to cooperate more. That is very critical for us. And as far as the OIC, we are also been making efforts to weaken the so-called religious front of the OIC against India. And some of the Gulf monarchies have been sympathetic to India. That needs to move forward. In the region, Iran and Afghanistan have also been facing this same menace emanating from Pakistan. So there is a clear case for a kind of a triangular strategic cooperation with Iran and Afghanistan to try and hem in this rogue state. Last, I would say we need to use our ties with Western powers to try and delay or impose more conditionalities on Pakistan for its economic bailouts from the IMF. So diplomatically and economically also there is a case that it must be a sustained campaign rather than simply reacting to one incident or one attack and saying now we've done the job and we'll move we'll move on. I think we have to recognize that this is a systemic threat. It's a strategic threat, not simply to appease public opinion or simply to make people feel good that we've taken revenge. I think that's not sufficient because we take revenge and then the next attack happens, and that's been a cycle.
There has not been huge damage to either side, and we have also managed to avoid war this time. A war whose cost could have been anything from about 50,000 crores to 250,000 crores. But we can't guarantee that the next time a violation takes place. Attacks are continuing in Kashmir. It's possible another might happen sometime. Now, what will be the reaction of the government when the next attack takes place? It could be this Prime Minister or it could be another Prime Minister in power. They would feel pressurized by both the media and the public. And in that case, what would they be response? What would be the counter response from Pakistan? The prognosis seems poor. It seems like it might not necessarily be contained next time. There might be an outbreak of conventional war. This would not possibly turn nuclear. The reason being because we have seen in this crisis and the previous one, the government wants to keep costs low. So it wants to satisfy domestic public opinion as well as give Pakistan a message. And therefore it has attacked but has not caused massive damage on the other side, so that the other side does not feel obligated to respond in kind. The government feels obligated to respond, but in a limited way. So one expects that the next time a crisis happens, the response will be similar. The government will respond in a limited way, and hence Pakistan will not feel the need to escalate it to a nuclear level. It will respond also conventionally. But then what will be India's counter response to that is to be seen. We are slowly climbing the escalation ladder. If you look at the way we have behaved, that is India and Pakistan, each time the response has been more violent. So the expectation is that the next response will be at least as violent, if not more, to the next attack. And the next attack will possibly happen because Kashmir is in turmoil. So even this time, the suicide bomber was a Kashmiri, was not a Pakistani. At some point, the escalatory ladder will be breached, and we will have all-out conventional war. But this conventional war also will be fought, hopefully, the same way that these crises have been fought, with limited attacks and not targeting civilian populations, which has also been India and Pakistan's track record before they went nuclear. During the 1965, 71 and 48 wars, they did not target each other's civilian areas. Hence, seeing the fact that they have prudently handled their previous crisis, they haven't been too aggressive and they have been willing to de-escalate, the hope is that even if a conventional war breaks out, which might happen actually, they will be able to de-escalate before it goes nuclear. They will not fight till the end. That is, they will not fight till one or the other side is conventionally defeated. This is what I expect coming in the future. I expect things are going to heat up. I don't think things will come down from this because a new threshold has been breached. 2016 was a minor threshold, but 2019 has been a major threshold. And this will put pressure on any new government that comes, any new prime minister that comes cannot now back down.